So call to order the meeting for November 2024 Parks and Recreation is now in order. Roll call, Mr. Sharris, can you do the roll call for us, please?
Certainly. Wade Pollock,
Here.
Peter Lake,
Here.
Caitlin Foy.
Here.
Joseph Catrombone,
Here.
Rose Vanicola.
Here.
Item 4.1, consider approving the agenda. Do we have a motion? And a second? Motion was made by member Foy and seconded by member Vanicola. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion moves unanimously. Item 5, public comment for agenda items only. No one's here from the public. Item 6.1, consider approving the minutes from the September 5th, 2024 meeting. Do we have a motion?
Yes,
A second?
Second.
Motion was made by member Lake and seconded by member Catrombone. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion moves unanimously. Item 6.2, consider approving the minutes from the October 3rd, 2024 meeting. Do we have a motion? And a second? Motion made by member Vanicola and seconded by member Foy. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. The motion moves unanimously. Item 7.1, Public Works update. Mr. Sharris, please.
Sure. This is a brief update because although we spent a lot of time in some of the parks, there was only a few projects that we were actually working on. First of all, throughout October, we continued to visit parks 3 times a week for inspection and cleaning. A majority of our hours were actually spent at the Meadow Preserve, working on the parking area, the berms, and some of the other improvements there at the preserve at that entrance area. A lot of hours were spent there. When I went back and looked through the blue cards, I realized just how much time we put in.
Looks really nice.
Yeah, it's coming along.
Really nice.
I'll just note that the Boy Scout project, the Eagle Scout project, where the pergola was installed over at Brookside Park was completed. And I think it looks good. It was stained, a green stain to match the rest of the material over there. And I think if you haven't seen it yet, I think you should be pleased with it. There were 3 trees that we had to remove from Newby Park, which had been identified as, I think there were a couple ash trees and one other tree that we had to bring in somebody to take down. They were taken down safely, and then that wood was taken away. And that is pretty much it for Public Works in the park system.
George, the Eagle Scout who did the project, what was his name? I remember.
Chris Danson. I can get you the spelling on that.
So I was going to take a picture of it and send it into for the electronic newsletter.
Oh, great
Okay.
idea. Great idea. I think that's wonderful.
I did drive past and I don't know if anyone else has seen it. It's just really, really nice job. Yes, and the color matches. It really expands the playground area. Really a good job. And he made it as wide as, remember, I think you guys had talked about making it wide enough for folks to sit in. Really a good job. And the trees that were taken down in Newby, where were they at, George?
So there were 3. There was one all the way at the end back by the basketball court in the corner. We didn't even realize that it needed to come down until we were working on the basketball court and we were standing right in front of it and realized the condition it was in. So that one all the way in the corner back there. There was one about in the middle on the hillside, not on the Newby Drive side, but on the side that would go toward Marble in Broomall. So there was one back there, and then there was one if you were at the playground with Doe Lane to your back. There was one back there that we had to take down.
Item 8.1, discussion and possible action regarding beautification and stormwater project at Cable Park. So, George and I worked on a grant for PICO, and So the township has another grant that's already in existence and it's not closed out yet, so they won't allow you to apply for a second grant until it's closed out, the first one. So we're gonna table that until next year. So it gives us more time to think about it. If anybody wants to visit over there, it's kind of a beautification project as well as an erosion, stormwater erosion issue. And the more beef we have into actually the more fluff that we have in it, the better off we are from what I've learned from helping to fill out the grant application. So I think Rose, you got us in contact with the high school environmental science. I'll send her an email. I don't want to do that until we spoke tonight. So hopefully, next year she's on board with it. She seemed pretty excited about it, so. It was high school students who were going to help design the garden, the rain garden, and a sign. I contacted a company and they would do, the kids could design the graphics and the write-up for it. And then send it in and they would print it. It's just like some of the other signs, graphics on it. In addition to that, there's also a aqua grant that's available. I think it's not as much money. I think it's limited to 2,000 or something like that, but as long as you address poisons, chemicals going into the stormwater system, they'll give you some funds for that. So I thought maybe if we attach those two grants together next year, we can get some significant funding. There's no match required for it. You can use it as part of the match for the PICO grant as well. So next year when we do this, perhaps. Good.
And Wade, thank you so much for the work that you've put into it and the research you put into it. It is not wasted time because, at minimum, we'll go for that Green Regions grant next year. But I think we're going to keep an eye out to see if other grants come along that maybe it could fit into. We might have an opportunity to utilize that even earlier. So we will be watching carefully with that.
Yeah, we think that's a great project. So it's just a shame that we hadn't finished out the PICO project we have going right now, which is up at the Meadow Preserve. George and I have talked. We're going to try to make sure that we get that done early enough in the season. We get all the documents closed out so that we're ready to go when the next application comes in.
Okay.
But if we have another opportunity grant wise, we'll sure look for that as we go along.
Okay, and I can help with whatever. So yeah, and I don't, it was out of your control. It was out of the township's control, whatever had happened with the other grant, trying to get that completed.
It doesn't change the disappointment, right? Because we were really pretty excited about that project happening next year. It would really be nice to have been able to do it at the same time. We're going to do some other work out there. So, but that's sometimes how it works.
Yes, yeah. Item 8.2, discussion about ideas for a family event in spring 2025. So I think we've discussed the concert series just isn't working out as well as we hoped. So, and the family fun day seemed to work out pretty well. So it seems like there's a market out there for family stuff. I don't know if anyone's had any ideas on any possible things we could do,
mental health. That's, oh, no, thank you. May is Mental Health Month, and so I thought maybe that's something that we could do at a park to kind of just bring in awareness and community gathering. We had talked about maybe doing like a teen event last year, but we couldn't quite get our finger on what would be successful. But I mean, mental health is all ages. It doesn't need to be any one particular age group, but I don't know, I thought maybe that would be a good time.
And I think Sheila from EAC is, I've talked to her. And she was interested in having different health things come into one of our parks. Environmental related, just a conglomeration of things that are available in the community and in Delaware County for, that might be.
I think the outdoor movie night idea, I think we brought it up previously. I think that would be,
You think that will work?
I think so. I
Yeah,
mean,
bring your
those tend to
blankets.
draw pretty well, especially if it's good weather. Good movie for a family, I think.
And I do see it advertised in other townships.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know what the turnout is like.
You like going to the drive-in?
Yeah, it'll be fun.
What's a drive-in, right?
They did it at St. Annie's for that night where the Eagles and Phillies played the same night, and it was a really nice turn.
Is that right?
I mean, that wasn't a movie, but it was still just the same. It was a good turnout.
And what was it, a big screen or?
And a projector
Projector.
and a sound system.
Yeah,
It would be pretty low cost.
I think so.
Where was it done at St. Anne's?
We're in the parking lot.
Did they bring chairs, just sit out?
Yeah, I instructed people to bring chairs. There was a couple food vendors there, which similar to Paul
Right.
Museum.
Or maybe we could, if we do a movie night, we could get one of those popcorn makers. Give away the popcorn. And have water.
And I think they have had movie nights in the past at Drexel Lodge.
Yeah, so years ago, actually before I even started, they did used to do movie nights there. It was similar to some of the challenges you're finding with some of the events is that they become popular for a while and then they start petering after they become people become accustomed to them. And so they stopped doing the movie night. But I think it's a great opportunity to try it again because it was very successful at one point.
Maybe we could do one night. See how it works. If it works out, maybe we could do it another one during the year.
What would be the content sort of movies? Like would it be more kid?
like, is it a Disney movie? Is it a
Yeah.
Phillies game?
Yeah, definitely something family oriented.
Something that isn't objectionable to anybody.
Good luck.
Right, I'll do some research on. I think it's a great idea. And it's not something we have to vote on, it's just, it's spring, so yeah, we can discuss it more.
Now, would there be a time constraint? Because it would be after dark, right? The parks close.
I mean, for sure, if we're gonna do an event, we control whether or not the park is open. I mean, yes, normally our parks close at dusk, but if we're, if the township's putting on the event, we can do that, just like, I wouldn't do a bonfire right now because of the burn ban. But we might consider, like, if you did if one day, if the Meadow Preserve gets done in such a way, do a hayride and maybe do a bonfire at the end in October. We don't typically allow that, but I would bring in the fire department and have it very controlled. I mean, if the township's running it, we can sometimes,
the boss.
we can sometimes work around our own rules and guidelines by doing certain things to be protected.
Now gonna be a possible event. We're all ready.
I wrote that down. I know, I've been thinking about it for several years. Once we got that area, I thought it would be fun to, create something where you could do that with some kids to get them out there, do some hay rides and.
Next month is happening.
George isn't going to speak to me anymore, but that's it.
It would be fun, yeah. Have you guys been to the Meadow Preserve at all? Or?
Not recently. I've ridden my bike just to that corner, and I look over, and I thought, I don't really want to ride down there because it's a long. You gotta walk, you gotta push that bike up. There's no ride back up that hill.
Oh, there's a switchback. You can come up the switchback.
Oh, is there? Did you build one?
It's been there for a couple of years now.
Oh.
Our public works team did a great job putting that in.
Wow. Thank you, George.
About.
Oh, yes, yes, we did, yeah.
Interested,
Yeah, I think, yeah, yeah, so we had discussed having the jazz band or something from the high school. I think they still have a jazz band, I believe, don't they? To do a concert at Drexel Lodge Park where we could have, that. And I think we-
Aaron says, yes, they do have a jazz.
Oh, she does? She did? Okay, Are you in it, Aaron? Oh,
Very nice.
how about that? And I think we discussed having something else with it, didn't we? Want to do something else to go with it.
You could make it a all high school night and see if the drama club would do like a one act kind of play for you or something along those lines, if you want to make it interesting.
Yeah. Yeah,
Is-
that would be great.
Get a,
Get the cheerleaders and they could do their routine. You know, or, no, I don't know.
There's a girl on our street who's in the drama club, so I'll talk to her. Walks by every day. See her when the grandkids are out. So, anything else?
It's a good idea.
So yeah, we'll just keep discussing this over the next month or two, I guess, and then vote on it when we get some feedback. I'll see if I can find the email from the jazz band. If not, all right, thank you. Yeah, Rose has become our secret weapon with the high school. So, item 9.1, review of.
if I can interrupt you just before you jump there, George and I were just having a quick sidebar while you guys were discussing this. George and I have been meeting, have met, and George has been working on this a lot longer than even I've been involved on it, but the Gable Park field back here, the baseball field, I don't know if y'all know, the turf is in pretty bad shape. So we're going to be presenting probably at the next board meeting. I think we're hoping that we have all the numbers. We're going to be presenting to the board to have that field, the turf taken up and a new turf put down, and also to kind of secure off the field a little bit for kind of a multiple reasons. One, safety for those that walk on the trail back there during a game. That we're going to put up some netting to kind of protect that, and also hopefully to keep bikes and those kind of things off the turf. We're gonna narrow down the entrance points, and we're gonna label them very clearly what's allowed inside and what's not, and do that. We're very excited about the team. The team that's doing it is the same team that did our basketball courts. They have a CoStarz contract and they do this and that. And so, and we have really good reason to believe that they can do pretty much everything we want to do and still be well under the budget that we had actually set aside for next year to do this. So And we're hoping that they'd be able to do it in January and February.
Mhm.
So because it's impacting one of the parks, I know George is working with Marple Newtown Recreation to make sure that, because they rent out that field, or at least, I don't know if they always rent it, but at least permit it. So we want to make sure that we work through that, but we think January and February are the best 2 months. It's the least that it's used. And we would get a new turf out there that's desperately needed. I didn't realize how quite bad it was until we were on it recently for a couple other things, but yesterday we were walking it and I actually felt some dips in it.
Yeah.
And so it's real important to get that taken care of, and it's starting to pull and that kind of stuff. It's a very expensive process, taking that up and putting a new one down, but it's, just wanted you to know because it's in our park. It's one of the most used areas in the township. I think the basketball court's first. I think that's a close second in it comes to use. There were several families out there today with little kids running around and doing exercises and all kinds of stuff. I left here at almost 9:30 last night, night before, 9:30 or so, and there were kids out there still playing soccer. So it's very well used, and so it's a great field.
What was the cost, just out of curiosity?
We don't have a final cost yet, but it's probably going to be somewhere between $500,000 and $600,000. Not cheap.
But it is used a lot. I see them in there at night.
Yeah,
It's-
weekdays, weekends, those people.
Yeah.
There's rarely a day that I can say that I've sat here and not seen anybody on it. I mean, it's a very, very rare day. I've seen it covered in snow and kids out there playing on it, I mean, they're just loving it and having a good time.
And you have, I mean, starting at sunrise in the morning, there are people out there walking around the perimeter of it.
Right.
I mean, it is used all day.
George is going to be working with Rich from Marple Newtown Recreation to determine exactly how we're going to line it. We may put 2 soccer fields in it, continue with the baseball field, and also be able to potentially do a softball field. You can't play all of them at the same time. Obviously, they would be single, or you could do 2 soccer games, but we really think there's a way to make it really multi-purpose and make it really potentially even better used.
Good. Item 9.1, review of Parks and Recreation support at the Firehouse Halloween event. Caitlin, you.
Yeah, Wade and I were there and it was a really great event. It's the first time I had been there. There were a lot, I don't know, I don't have an estimate of a head count, but it was just constant flow of new families coming through. All ages were trick-or-treating, which was really nice. Many people dressed up in costumes. It was a really great setup. It seemed like parking was really easy for everyone. And then we were at a table next to EAC and the library. So it was really just sort of a nice showcase of all of the Newtown Township organizations and associations. We're going to jazz up our table a little bit more next year with some signs and lots of candy to hand out. But yeah, it was a really nice event. So anything you wanted to add?
So if EAC does have a banner now, I don't know if we could get one for ourselves, and we're going to try and do as many events as we can. Sometimes we go to their events and try and showcase what we're doing.
Yeah,
Doesn't have to be anything.
I think it's a great idea for each committee to have a banner. They're not overly expensive, particularly if we do them for someplace like Vista Prints and stuff like that. We can get a pretty good price on them. So, yeah.
We
And
had
even-
oh, sorry, George.
No, I'm sorry, I was gonna say, even, some poster board, displays that would showcase the parks and the projects that you work on. Those are very attainable kind of things
Sure.
that we would have you could just bring out every time.
That's what I was thinking. I have some pictures of the different parks that are not stock images or anything that would pose to be a problem, but I could make like a poster board and then show everybody, and maybe we could just print it and have it to go for any, because we've had tables before, like at the St. Albans Church, Gather in the Circle,
Yeah.
the Friday, the farmer's market, thank you.
Farmer's market.
So, and there's other events too, so I think that
Yeah.
might be good just to have it at the ready.
The only thing I'd ask you to be careful about with pictures, if you've got pictures of kids, either one of two things, do a little photoshopping and kind of blur their faces a little bit,
Mhm.
or make sure we have permission from the parents to be able to do that.
And that's hard to get from parents.
But it's,
I have my kids and one
Yeah,
or two.
yeah, I'm just saying, as we're doing that, I just will always want to be careful of pictures we take at events.
Absolutely.
And we then use that later, because occasionally that becomes a problem.
Yeah, the Historical Society, the library, us, EAC, and Birdtown USA, we were all lined up together, so it was very nice. Leonard showed up to take pictures with all of us, of course.
And
You
his
can
daughter
put
was
Leonard anywhere
dressed
you
up.
want.
Cute.
Yeah, he's not bashful, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And I think Lisa was there as well, took a picture with us all. But yeah, it was just so there's nothing came in from the public, George? Was there anything anyone wanted to discuss further or for next agenda items?
Just the Cub Scouts, they asked about anything that they could do for service at the parks. They were interested in touching base with them. Jeff to
Yeah, Joe, they could reach out to me.
Okay.
If they'd like. The Boy Scouts do different things. The Cub Scouts have done things out there, and they're usually very straightforward, like they'll go in a line and go pick up trash and a couple of the fields and do some weeding and, something that would be helpful to them to learn about, caring for the parks and all that, but it's not overly, burdensome for them or difficult for them. So yeah, if anybody from the Cub Scouts wants to reach out to me, I'd be happy to talk to them.
Awesome, George. Thank you.
You're welcome.
What age group?
They're pretty young. It's second, like kindergarten through fifth, but there's not many graders who
Won't have them build.
That might not work out.
When I taught school, I take my boys guidance class out once a quarter and say, hey, we're having a basketball tournament coming up. Let's go clean up the campus. And they could not wait to get outside, out of class. But it was a good class. It was a manners class.
I wonder if Newbie Park, if maybe we could do a cleanup there. It's separate from any of the stream cleanups. Possibility. I don't think there's a whole lot of trash there. Let's see.
Still going. Mosquito.
Yeah. So if anyone can think of Cub Scout stuff, maybe we'll discuss it again next month. But so I guess we're adjourned.